repping the state to it is what it is.
What it is, TV, man.
I've been to a lot of places, met a lot of people of different races and cultures. But it's one thing that's been obvious to me. There is no group of people on this earth that are more unique or resilient as the people from my city. That's why I have decided to become a vessel for the people of Franklin, Louisiana, to share their stories with the world. Franklin Tells.
Welcome back to another episode of It Is What It Is TV. I have a very special guest today, man. Me and this guy, we're from the same hometown. I look up to this cat, very disciplined, has morals, and I'm glad to have him on my show. So I'm not gonna hold you guys up, man. Go ahead and introduce yourself for me.
Yes, sir, man. Glad to be here. First of all, it's an honor and a privilege and a pleasure to be here. My name is Seanathan Polidore, born and raised Franklin, Louisiana. I'm a father of 3 kids. I'm a husband. I'm a community activist, scholar, preferably history, African-American history, African studies, Black studies. I have published 6 books, and I am a 16-year public speaker. I am a podcast host. I am a radio personality, a United States Naval veteran, blessed to go to about 23 countries, you know, traveling and working and just evolving and growing as a person. And I try to bring all that back to the community via public speaking, my podcast shows, my Instagram videos, and my social media activism.
All right, man. Sean, let's start off like this, man. Tell me, where you're from and how was it growing up in that particular area, that city that you're from?
Yeah, man, so I'm from Franklin, Louisiana, right? Those that don't know. And man, for me in my childhood, growing up, being a child of the 80s and the 90s, man, I totally, absolutely love my childhood. Our school split my senior year. That's when they created the West St. Mary High School. But 90% of my years is going to school with kids from all over other areas combined in one school. So our school was popping, man. Junior high, high school in particular, that's still the best 4-year stretch of my life, even after all I've done. Those 4 years in high school from 96 to 2000, we had almost like a college experience in high school. Like our high school band at the time, our band was like Drumline before Drumline came out. Like the band was hopping, prominent football team, basketball team, our theater program, which I was a part of, the theater program, traveling all over the country, doing stage plays. Like we did a whole lot in that small city. And it was very, very much, it's a hub of information and inspiration. So many things were happening in a positive manner, I would say, when I was in school.
All right, besides school, man, tell me, what type of child were you? What type of kid were you growing up?
Man, I love talking about this. 'Cause people see me now speaking and being confident. They think I was always like this. When I was a kid growing up, I would say I was a quiet, to myself, kind of shy kid, man. I was shy, didn't have a lot to say. I was the guy in the class, you would never know I was in your class. I'm probably barely gonna raise my hand. I'm gonna try to fade to the back of the room. I didn't really come to evolve until like probably 9th grade, 10th grade, when I started being in the acting program and I got on that stage the first time and saw the power of words to capture an audience and the energy I felt doing that. I haven't stopped talking since. You know, that was it.
Now, that's one thing I can attest to, man, because I was actually in the theater myself.
Yeah.
And being from Franklin and going to Franklin Senior High,
yes,
during our time, if
yes,
you were in theater, people would not believe that it's almost like a football game. Like,
it is.
If you had a play that night, it was a ghost town.
Yes.
It was a ghost town.
They all coming out.
Yeah, and Mr. L.
Yeah,
the teacher,
shout out,
man.
shout out.
Shout out to Mr. L. Mr. L sent a lot of us to school.
I always say from pre-K to my master's degree, the most important teacher I've had in my life, the most applicable to life, was that theater program right there in the back of that school. What we did in that drama class every day. If we had cell phones back then, if we had social media platforms, we would have been going viral like almost weekly, bro. I can name certain people right now that they would have just been, they were just so talented naturally.
What you mean?
So young.
Aria Dupas,
Marcus Simpson, Sean Thomas, Dorian Middleton, Jacoby Johnson, Corey Henderson, Skylar. I can name so many people that was just...
D. Hunt.
You got to think. So I came into acting in like 10th grade or so, right? They were already acting together for years. He threw me in class with them. So my first time getting my feet in the water, I'm amongst those people in the classroom every day. Them doing amazing monologues and we doing improv drills and everything, man. Things you see on TV like the Wild 'N Out show, Nick Cannon, shout out. I can name different like skit shows. We was like way ahead of our time, bro, to be totally honest with you.
As a matter of
That's
fact,
no exaggerating.
Mr. L was actually trying to send a couple of us to those improv schools. Second City is one of them in Chicago, as a matter of fact. So you're most definitely right about that.
Yes, sir.
So Sean, what would you say were some of the lessons that you learned, the most important lessons, I should say, that you learned growing up in Franklin?
Man, growing up in Franklin, the important lesson of growing up in Franklin, man. Today it was a small city. It wasn't like Chicago or New York or anything like that. You still had your share of learning real fast, I want to say, like, how to feel the energy of where not to go, who not to be around, where to go, where not to gravitate towards. You started learning that real early in life because, you got to think, once again, being a child of the 80s and the 90s, I'm a kid at the height of Boys in the Hood coming out, Mr. Society, South Central, Juice, Tupac, a lot of the gang kind of activity, the gang kind of culture, that's at the height of my childhood. So even though we didn't really have a blood crip kind of thing going on, but it was still a sense of like this area versus that area. At our school, once again, we all in one place. So you got Baldwin fighting Franklin, within Franklin, OBU might be fighting St. Joseph. You got Four Corners in this place fighting each other. We even had guys from the Centerville, Garden City kind of area going to our school. And the other side's going toward General area, right? So all of us combined in one school, you always had these territorial, like this infighting, right? So navigating that was interesting, especially in junior high in particular. It was a really violent time in junior high as far as physical altercations, like 20, 30 man brawls. I remember my mind vividly, bro, like a lot was happening at the time.
Right. All right, so let's move into this.
Yeah.
You're a senior, you graduate.
Yes.
What happened after that?
So I'll do a little prequel before that. So prior to my senior year, I'm a lifelong basketball fanatic. I love basketball more than anything in the world at the time. I want to play basketball beyond high school. But I don't have like college scholarships coming knock on the door. So if people know it or not, the United States Navy and all the armed forces have sport branches. There's an all-Navy basketball team. There are Army, football, different armed forces got their own teams.
David Robinson, for example.
David Robinson played for the all-Navy, the Navy basketball team, the Admiral.
Right.
So the Navy started recruiting me, if you will, like in my 10th or 11th grade year, take the ASVAB test, Navy come knocking, I like basketball. So after high school, to fast forward, I go to the United States Navy with the hopes and the dreams of playing on an all-Navy basketball team. That's the only sole reason why I'm there. For those that don't know, this is before 9/11. I gotta always preface that. I'm in the military before 9/11. That happened while I was in the Navy, 9/11 happened. We'll get to that later if you want. But after high school, I graduate like May 26th. I'm off to boot camp like June the 5th. Like immediately go to boot camp. No summer vacation that summer. My first time on a plane in my life is going to Great Lake, Illinois, man, and I get thrust into the world. Because Franklin, being small as it is, like I said earlier, and the amazing family I had growing up, I was actually sheltered and shielded from a lot. And when I finally went into that great big world outside of that small bubble I was in, it wasn't always what it seemed, man. I'm around guys from all over the country, all over the world in one spot now. They have a way different mentality. They got way different mindsets and backgrounds than myself. And so it was a real crash course on learning life.
Culture shock.
Culture shock. Fast. Because I thought if I was a good person and I was an upstanding person, and I was an honorable person, I'm not trying to steal from nobody or rob nobody or do nobody dirty, then I would be good. And unfortunately, that's not the case at all in this real reality of life, man.
Right, man.
People have ill intentions no matter how good you are as a person.
That's life. That's life.
Yeah.
You know, so let's roll on into your education. Give me your education background.
Man, so this is a great conversation too. So I mentioned my childhood a little bit, being quiet and everything, but also my whole time in school, from kindergarten through high school, I didn't really care about school. I wasn't really crazy about school. People see me reading and posting so many books every day, they always assume I was always reading all these books. That's not my story, man. I had a long route to be who I am now. My whole time in school, education-wise, I was the average student at best. Not because I lacked mental ability, I wasn't applying myself, right? So I love basketball. I'm in class the whole time thinking about, man, what time school over with? I'm going to Ernest Sykes' house to play basketball. I'm going to King Soprano house to play basketball. Me and Jawan Jones going to play over here. Me and Shedrick Small going to play over there. I'm going to Caffrey Park. Going to the Black Wreck, right? I'm thinking about that the whole time in school. Forget algebra class and chemistry and science and biology. I'm just totally mentally checked out, just getting through the day to get to practice that evening. I'm focused on that. So unfortunately, my academics suffered. But as a grown man in my 20s, I decided, you know what? I'm going to go to college. And at that point, it's like the light bulb just came on for me, man. And after that, I started making A's left and right. Like, my academics in college far surpassed my childhood education, man. As far as my performance, it's crazy. I was always emailing my old teachers like, man, look what I'm doing. Man, look what I made in this class. And they was always like, Sean, you always could, you didn't apply yourself. You know, that's how they always respond to that question.
So my question is, out of curiosity, what sparked that? What made you want to, buckle down and...
Yeah, so I'll give you I'll condense it. In the Navy, an older black gentleman, he didn't want to put me on to reading books. Because on a Navy vessel, you float in the middle of nowhere, kind of like being offshore, I could imagine, I don't know. But at the time, in the 2000s, there was no streaming, there wasn't no Wi-Fi, there wasn't no any of that. So the ship was like a floating jail, basically. All you can do is work out, watch the same little DVDs you brought, whatever that was, play little card games, and possibly read books. So an older gentleman saw me sitting there, like bored, basically. He didn't want to put books in my hand. I start reading books in the Navy. I get out the military. I keep reading books, and then I meet Anthony Bell, AKA Tony Bell, man. He didn't want to put me on he put me on to more serious content. I was reading fiction for like 10 years before reading fictional things. He put me on to more serious content. So I had years of this scholarly study prior to going to college. So when I finally go to college and getting like class assignments, compared to what Tony was giving me in private for homework, this was like nothing. The things he had me doing as far as my rigor and my research and drilling me and things like that, when I went to college finally, that was a walk in the park, man, compared to my personal studies.
What did you major in?
I majored, my associates is in business, and then my bachelor's and my master's in psychology.
So how many degrees total do you have, Sean?
I have 3 degrees.
All right. Yeah. So that brings me into the next segment here. Man, you have so many titles, but the one that I take that back is a couple that I love, man. Being that you're from Franklin, I can actually sit in front of you and say that you are a scholar and also an author. Mm-hmm. So let's get into you becoming an author.
Yeah.
And why did you feel the need to become an author?
Okay. So simply put, when I get involved in something, I'm all the way immersed in it. So whenever I like something a whole lot, I kind of sort of end up teaching it, whatever it might be. And that's a different day's topic. But after so many years of reading all these great books, my mind started thinking like, you know what? I wonder if I could write a character like that. I wonder, can I write a scene like that? Could I evoke emotion from a reader the way in which Eric Jerome Dickey's doing it, or Omar Tyree, or Toni Morrison, or whoever it might be? And so I started in private trying to craft stories. I started trying to make poetry and things like that. And so that's how I started getting my feet wet in writing. And then I went to UL one day, me and my wife, and I was very upset at the lack of African-American things they had in that big old massive school library. And so something said, Sean, if the books that you're looking for is not in the library, it's on you to write those books. It's on you to tell those stories. And that's how I started getting the courage to say, you know what, I'm gonna sit down and craft my first publication.
So Sean, you began your writing career to become this author from Franklin, Louisiana, I might add.
Yes, sir.
Tell me about your first book.
Yes, sir. So my first book is What's Your Kick? The Guide to Unlocking Your Passion, right? So my first book is all about, I feel that we all have a gift, a calling, a skill set that's unique to us. And this whole book is about how do you tap back into that thing you had when you was a kid, before you had bills to pay and responsibilities in the family. What did you naturally have an inclination to go and do for hours on end? What would you spend all your time thinking about when you couldn't do it? What kept you up at night? What you just couldn't wait to get back to? And we all have a thing like that. So this book is all about how do you get back to doing that thing? How do you cultivate discipline? How do you properly set a goal and a plan? How do you invest in yourself, in your craft? How do you get a mentor? The importance of mentorship. How do you overcome obstacles? And much, much more is all given in What's Your Kick? And I made sure that within every chapter, at the end of the chapter, I have questions and a space for you to write in. I want it to be an interactive book. Not just you hearing me talking, but I want you to write down your thoughts, your opinions on these questions to tap inside of yourself to find out what should I be doing, what I haven't been doing, what I should stop doing to get on your journey, unlocking your passion, man. First book, and I always tell people, this is my biggest passport in my life. Beyond any of my college degrees and everything, this book has taken me so many places. It put me at so many tables. It put me on so many TV shows, radio shows, podcasts. It put me in certain rooms around people I would have never been around without having this publication, man. So I always say, this is my pride and joy right here. What's Your Kick?
All right, now, that's your pride and joy, but you didn't stop there.
No, I didn't.
You have other books.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead and give me the names of those books and the
Okay.
inspiration behind them.
Okay, so during the global pandemic, we're all on lockdown. People are getting depressed, anxiety's at an all-time high, suicide rates going up. A lot is happening in the world. I take that time and go into my cocoon, if you will, and I knock out 4 books in a back-to-back fashion during the pandemic. The first book being The Butterfly Effect. The Butterfly Effect is based on a speech I gave years ago, and most of my books are based on previous presentations I gave at certain places. I wanted to take those same presentations, put them in a book format to where the masses can get them, not just that one small audience I had that day. So The Butterfly Effect is all about our power to transform ourselves. The Caterpillar. I said people have plenty of butterfly tattoos all over the world. I've never seen a person with a caterpillar tattoo. Never. Nobody want to be that ugly, slithery, slimy thing on his belly crawling around. But we all got to start there, that ugly place, to transform into that beautiful, pretty butterfly, right? So the whole start in the book is about starting off ugly, admitting where you are right now, physically, financially, relationship, on your job, wherever it is. Who want to admit this is where I am right now. The middle of the book is the most important, that cocoon phase, that isolation, the darkness, the cutting off from everybody else. We all want to have all these social media apps and be on all these platforms, be tuned in, being inundated from somebody else 24/7. We don't have our own voice of ourselves anymore. It takes cutting yourself off so that transformation to happen. And then the very end of the book is about how you break yourself out. I can't break you out. If you go to a cocoon and try to break that cocoon and help the butterfly, you're gonna kill him. You gotta break yourself out. It's a self job, right? That's the butterfly effect in a nutshell. My next book I'll speak about is The 5 Laws of Leadership. I gave a speech for a leadership group years ago to some young people, and these were the most 5 important things I feel was important in every leader. If you're a husband of a household or a parent, period, on your job, if you're a coach of a sports team, we all have leadership in different ways. Some of us on these platforms, you might be leading strangers, you don't even know it, following your page, right? These are 5 universal principles I feel that all leaders should embody, right? That's the 5 laws of leadership. Next, I will go into expanding your vision, the hero's journey. So once again, being from a small place like Franklin, Louisiana, it's easy for us to feel like, man, I wish I went to a different high school. I wish I grew up in a bigger city that had different resources. I wish my family was different. I wish this and that was different. But if you think about most of your superhero movies, they all start off in horrible places. Superman is an orphan in the beginning of the movie. Batman is a small child watching his mom and daddy be murdered in front of his face. You can go on and on down the line. Most of these superhero stories start off in a horrible place. And then they transform themselves to become something greater along that journey. They take the hero's journey. You end up expanding beyond what's around you. If you can't afford to physically leave, we got devices now, you can go online and travel anywhere you want online. You can learn new skills and get mentored, get coaching online. You can learn all these things beyond what's in your physical locale. So expanding your vision is all about seeing past your city limits, seeing past your state even. So many people where we from never go on family vacation. They can't. So many folks never leave. I always tell my out-of-state friends this. For some of us, our family evacuation was our vacation. When the hurricane come, oh, I'm finally going to so-and-so. We going to Atlanta, we going to Alabama, we going to Texas, we finally going somewhere. Outside of evacuation, you're not going nowhere, right? So I encourage folks a lot to take some money, some small money if you can, just get a small bus ticket and go North Louisiana, go West Louisiana, go a different part of Louisiana if you're from Louisiana. Get a small ticket and go to a neighboring state, a little small flight, and just slowly expand yourself, try different food, meet different people, wake up in a different environment. Like all of those things change your psychology, right? That's a little bit of expanding your vision. Next, the anatomy of a book. When I ask a person, define the word anatomy, they automatically think about the human body. But the anatomy is simply the parts of something. There's an anatomy to this chair I'm sitting on, right? There are parts to this chair. So the anatomy of a book is about the parts that make up a book. Even the avid reader, people I know, you most time go to the bookstore, buy a book, turn the book, you're going where? To page 1. But you skip the table of contents, the author's note, the preface, the foreword. Depending on what you're reading, you skip 70 pages for page 1. You missed all this nuggets in the beginning of the book. Then the average person, when they find that last page, whatever that number that is, they're gonna skip the index, the bibliography, the notes, the recommended reading, all the end parts of the book. So you skip the end part, you skip the front part, You only getting this little, you miss 100-something pages of content. But you would tell a person, man, I read this book. But did you really? So the anatomy of the book, I'm showing the reader all the things you missing in most books if you skipping the forward. Some books that I've read, the forward, the best part of the whole book was, Dr. Michael Eric Dyson did the forward on this book. Dr. Imani Perry did the afterword on that book. I'm going to look for that. Because that person is they're a profound scholar of some sort, whatever it might be. So the anatomy of a book is all about that. And the second part of the book is about how readers increase their comprehension, increase their reading habits, how children can improve their grades on these tests, standardized testing via increasing your reading. That's the anatomy of the book. And then book number 6, the brand new book, is coming out in the next 2 weeks or so, depending on when you're watching the video. Myself and my homeboy Kofi Piche have a podcast together called The Griot Podcast. It's on YouTube, it's on Spotify. We got episode 4 coming up pretty soon. But every month, at the end of the month, we have a show where we talk about, first of all, the history of the griots, the ancient African griots, and the griotes, that being the female, the griotes. In the tribe, their responsibility was to be the story keeper. They kept the tales, the history of the tribe. As they traveled and went places, the griot gave the history to the youth in the community. This is what we did. This is what was real good. This is what was real bad. This is our downfall. To help them avoid that in the future, hopefully. And they served multiple roles in the community. They were also warriors. They were also diplomats. And they did this via multiple means. They sometimes used humor and comedy. They sometimes did the oral tradition. They sometimes used song or dance and singing. They used 15, 20 different things to tell stories. And so the book being called The Modern Day Griot, we are now using technology that our ancestors never had to tell stories in our own way. We got platforms now, we got social media, we got AI, we got CGI, we got all kinds of things now to tell stories in our own way. And we still carrying the tradition of being the griot in our own right. He's an author, I'm an author. We're both public speakers and community activists and things like that. So book number 6 is all about the history of the griot, and we give our personal stories on how we became griots in our own right. And then we show you the chapter I call Leaders of the New School, some of the modern people today that's carrying that flag and they're storytelling in their own way. People like Dave Chappelle with comedy, a filmmaker like Ava DuVernay, what she's doing behind the camera in production, filmmaking, and a person like even Charlemagne the God, who's a radio personality, using his moderating and curating of information in a radio show format, right? But they're all telling stories in their own right. That's just an example.
Right, and those are great examples. So for the audience, where can they get these books?
Okay, so most of these books you can find on Amazon.com. Just type in my name, Seanathan Polidore. You'll see it on this video. I'm sure you'll see my name, how to spell it. You go to Amazon.com, type in my name. All the books will lay out. What's Your Kick is available in paperback. It is available in Kindle format to download. The 4 books, Butterfly Effect, Laws of Leadership, Expanding Your Vision, Anatomy of a Book, they're all in Kindle format. Go on your Kindle right now, turn this video off, go on Kindle, you download it right now and start reading it today.
All right, Seanathan, I've been knowing you for a long time, right?
Yeah.
We actually have something in common. We have the same mentor.
Okay. Bet.
That being Anthony Tony Bell.
Yes.
From being around you guys, whether directly or indirectly, myself, I have been on a journey to where you could say I'm woke to a certain extent.
Okay.
And I don't want to really use that word because, like we said before in the sidebar conversation, that word has really been hijacked and made commercial. But you guys have put me on a lot of different things. such as Dr. Umar Johnson, Wesley Muhammad, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And from that, the trickle-down effect has come to where I have been more aware of my surroundings as it pertains to Black issues.
Yes, sir.
So that's one of the things I want to talk about with you right now, being Black issues. The first thing I want to discuss with you is, what are your views on Black kids in particular and education?
Okay, wow. Black kids in education. I'm always referring to a book or a source when I talk. I never just talk. There's a great DVD. It's a great movie called Push Out. It's on Amazon Prime. And there's a accompanying book to go with Push Out. It talks about how our kids are, especially our Black girls, they are overly policed. They are punished at an incredibly higher rate than other kids. They are suspended more than other kids. Suspended, put out of school. Of course, that impacts their academic performance incredibly. There's a term called adultification. I did a whole speech on this in Lafayette during the pandemic. Our kids are seen to be older than what they are for various reasons. Look at a case like Tamir Rice in Chicago. They're in different cases where person they interacted with, they claim the child was older than what they were.
So excuse me 1 second.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, definitely.
Tamir Rice, is that the kid who was
Chicago.
mistaken by a cop because he had like a water gun or something
Yeah,
like
he
that?
was. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah. But in all of these cases, when you read the actual description, even the kid that got shot at a guy's house a few months ago, he was going to the wrong house to go get his sibling or something like that. Knock on the door, he got shot multiple times by this guy. When you read the description, they say, man, the dude was like, he was 6'3" and 200-something pounds. When you finally saw this kid picture, man, it's like, come on, bro. Not even close. But in their psychology, our kids, my main point for the school thing, our kids are older, bigger, more violent, vicious than what they actually are. They're never seen as just children. It's just kids, right? When we see these other people kids do stuff, they say, oh, he was an honor roll student. Oh, he was a good kid. Oh, he was in so-and-so Boy Scouts or something like that. They get this incredible pass for being just a child making a mistake. Our kids are seeing that he should have known better. He should, all this adult expectations on our children. That's one part of the equation. Second part to the equation, a lot of teachers right now, depending on what city you're living in, you can tell these teachers don't really actually care about these kids. They don't actually even care about educating people. Maybe depending on where you're living at, there are not many other jobs for you to do, depending on who you are. You could be a nurse or a teacher. Because I'm in the hospital field right now. I see a lot of nurses don't want to be a nurse. You don't care about people. You have no bedside manner. You're just trying to get a paycheck, right? A lot of teachers just happen to be a teacher. We had, you and I, those old school teachers, like my grandmother, they really cared about you learning. They really gonna take that time and that extra effort. And that's not saying all teachers. I know some incredible teachers. We're talking about just casting the wide net over overall topics. Some of these teachers, you're teaching in a certain school district, you wouldn't let your child go to that school district. Matter of fact, your child go to school somewhere else, but you're teaching over here. And so you subconsciously see these kids, and you teach these kids way different.
All right, and didn't you just say your grandmother was educated?
Yes, man. My grandmother taught for like 39, 40 years. Franklin Junior High, 8th grade English, specifically.
What's her name?
Dora Lewis.
That's what I wanted
Dora
to say.
Lewis, man. She's taught a generation of families, man. She's impacted so many households, so many families. And she's just an example of that. I hear all the stories about her after she passed. So many private stories about her taking this extra time and putting somebody on the side after class, after school, just pouring into people way beyond expectations of a school teacher. But those kind of teachers felt like that was their personal, their drive, their calling, their duty. Like outside the classroom, my grandmother still was always teaching. You can like talk in front of her. You can imagine a red pen over your words as you talking, right? That person really loves to teach. classroom or not. You can tell so many of these teachers, you just happen upon that field, man. You don't really actually care about it like that. And that's a whole different kind of impact to the student, and that impacts their performance.
Okay, so I heard everything you said.
Yeah.
Number one, I really wanted you to give your grandmother, my former teacher, Ms. D. Lewis, her flowers.
Yes.
But moving forward, everything you said is absolutely true. Our kids are held to a higher standard. But let's play devil's advocate for a minute. I was just listening to Dr. Umar Johnson a couple nights ago, and he said something that was very, very profound. He said that, quote, show me a failing student and I'll show you a lazy parent.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on that?
And once again, to unpack this education piece, we're talking about a whole pie of wrong. So I don't like finger pointing at any given person, like educators, parents, school board. No, this is a multi-pronged problem that takes a multi-pronged solution. Yes, parents do weigh an incredible. They got to carry an incredible amount of that weight only because I love that phrase where they say that the mother is the first teacher, right? You can tell a child, a small child, you can tell a child is being talked to. Not being talked at. A child is being talked to. You can tell a child that the parent actually interact with them, like actually play with them, like actually do things with them, versus a child that the parent give them a little iPad, stick him on the sofa somewhere, stick him in a room, so when he being quiet, you can go and do what you want to do, versus spending that time with them. And when it comes to the academics, you had to put that time to sit at that table in the old school way, go over that homework, do those things, go over those lessons. Like that's, because with today's economy, unfortunately, so many of us parents got to work multiple jobs just to survive. So not even casting it like it's a bad shadow on the parent all the time. You really got to go and get it. You really got to go pay this rent, pay this light, whatever you got to do. So it's not always a person being an outright on purpose bad parent. All the variables in this big old gumbo that we have to live in all play a part, man. And that's just a part of the pie, that's a part of that situation. The kids fall to the wayside, man. Unfortunately. And even whenever a parent can sit with a kid, guess what? These schools going to, what they call this stuff? What they call that stuff these days? This curriculum that they're using. What they call it, bro?
I'm not sure I can help you on that one right now.
You got it. You know it. They're doing this different kind of math lately, bro. My point being that they're doing something way different that most of us didn't get when we was in school. So even if you want to sit at that table and help your child out with their homework, you really literally can't even do it. Happens a lot, man. And a lot of fellow parents tell me these stories all the time.
That's that different kind of math right there.
Is it, man? This is a whole different kind of curriculum, bro.
All right, so tell me this. We're both from the same hometown.
Right.
With your schedule and you being a public speaker and, you know, an author and everything, I know that your time is very limited. And I don't know if your ears are quite to the street as it pertains to what's going on in Franklin right now. But right now, we have a extremely high crime rate. Yeah. The kids who are in high school, man, these kids are shooting, and they ain't shooting angels. You know what I mean? They're trying to hit flesh. Yeah. So with everything going on with that particular climate in Franklin, what advice will you give to the youth right now in our hometown in particular? Man,
well, I would say this, because I am busy and a lot going on, right? But unfortunately, I live in St. Martinville right now, for an example. It's the same thing happening across demographic, Baldwin, Franklin, Jeanerette, New Iberia. You name a certain particular community that we all can associate with. They're so parallel, it's scary. And the major advice for the youth directly, back to expanding your vision. You got to go and find people outside your direct demographic. You might not know no good guys in your life at all. But we got this technology now. You got to go and reach out and find better examples than you have right now in your direct circle. You got to see guys living life a better way in a more positive fashion, and they still having successful businesses, successful families, still living successful lives, not living that kind of life. A lot of our youth, we've always been enamored with the glitz and the glamour and cars and jewelry and clothes. That's always been a part of our culture in a major way. We got to find guys that are doing it in a positive fashion that's doing that. If that really, really attract you, that's your allure, right? You got to find different examples to be around, to go around. I know at the mayor, I believe they're getting a lot more things happening in the community lately, a lot more things with the activities and stuff like that. So we need more of that coming back to the community. We need for them to have more things to even do. And San Martinville, where I live at, for example, it's the summertime right now. Summer almost over with. There's no major summer things happening whatsoever. In our childhood growing up in Franklin, we had stuff to do from like 8 in the morning till whatever in the evening. We were around the clock, round robin, doing stuff, man. Even at night, we had in Nico at the Black Rec, we playing, summer league basketball, and we have the club Nico dances on the weekend. We doing that on Friday night. We all these things keeping us, active doing things. We need more of that going on for the youth. They have zero going on. It's dry. When I drive around making blocks, it's just desolate, dry.
Right. You know what? And I don't want to leave off on that note, because for every problem, I want to at least try to give a solution. So we're going to dig a little deeper. So let's say I'm a person, I live in the community, I'm an adult, and I see what's going on out there in my community. Mm-hmm. If you could tell me, if I came up to you on the street and say, what can I do to help my community get the violence down and get our youth more involved in things, what would you tell me to do?
Man, I would say first and foremost, contact some of your active city officials, because they know the direct people to talk to. Certain guys in the community, they know exactly who to go to. They got certain resources, or they got certain places you can go to, certain building access. If you say, man, I want to start a certain program, they know exactly who to go to. Like, okay, you want to do that? That's good. Contact so-and-so. They have access to this certain building or certain resources, certain things to get the ball rolling, and put some heads together. Like, man, this guy want to do this too. Y'all get together and collaborate, and let's do something together with the kids, right? Because any one man individual is not going to be enough to overcome what you got to overcome. It's going to take a group of us together. I want to say this too on the camera. We got to have more collaborative efforts, man. I'm seeing a thing to where it's like certain pockets of people is like, well, nah, they're going to be doing that over there. We ain't going over there. They're doing this at what time? We're going at a different time. Like, it's a small city with a small handful of people to do it to begin with. And we got all this like infighting or whatever's going on, this friction. We got to squash all that amongst the elders and let us come together on one accord for something positive for everybody. We need more of that going on, bro. I get deeply upset when I see a small faction of people doing this, and on the same exact day and at a different time, they doing this. It could have been a one-shot thing together and have such a bigger outcome and a bigger impact. Like, that makes no sense to me when I hear those things happen.
Totally agree. All right, Sean, man, let's hop into Black leadership.
Okay.
And when I say Black leadership, I'm talking as America, not just in Franklin.
Yeah, you mean nationally.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So, off the rip, I already know this is going to be a very unpopular opinion. So this is my contention, not yours. Let's go ahead and say that. All right. Now, I believe, my opinion, my personal opinion is that the worst thing that could have ever happened to Black Americans was the Civil Rights Movement.
Okay.
And the reason why I feel that way is because whenever that movement came out, led by MLK, it taught and pretty much forced people to be docile, especially our Black men.
Okay.
So instead of literally fighting back and trying to get the respect, we were fighting to drink out of the same water fountains.
Well, go ahead, keep going. Yeah, finish the thought.
All right.
Finish the thought.
Sit at the same
Yeah, go ahead.
counters. So in actuality, we should have been still trying to build on our own. Like you guys would say, do for self. Like you had Black Wall Street.
Yep.
You had other towns in
Rosewood.
Rosewood.
A lot of places. Even Georgia.
Georgia, Jackson, Mississippi.
Yeah.
They had prominent Black communities that was thriving.
Memphis.
It's another one. So instead of doing that, we got caught up in trying to be, quote unquote, be equal. But one of the greatest Americans that ever walked this earth, in my personal opinion, always said that other races aren't the yardstick of equality. We had that before our people were even enslaved and so forth, so forth. So what are your thoughts on what I just told you just now?
I would first preface it by saying, I don't believe in my understanding of the civil rights movement. I think it's a misconception that they was trying to like eat at somebody else's table and, you know, be at their job and get inside their neighborhood. That's really, really pushed in society. From my understanding, without understanding, read and studied, we wanted to have equal facilities at our places. I want to have our hotel as good as this hotel. I want to have the same supplies at our school as that school. So it wasn't really about fighting to get into that school. We want our school to have brand new books and the better roof and to fix the floors and have better supplies in the bathroom and things like that. It was about getting equal things over here, not about going over there. That wasn't the original thrust. See what I'm saying?
Well, it most definitely came all that way because let's take Malcolm X, for example.
Yep.
He used to say that it's a human rights problem, not a civil rights problem.
Agreed.
So one of the main reasons why he was pretty much assassinated because he was trying to take that to the higher courts. You know what I mean?
Yes, he was.
So that's why he pretty much got assassinated. So it wasn't civil rights. I think the fight was wrong. Now, did things come about from the civil rights movement that we benefited from? Sure.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's my contention that we were fighting for the wrong thing.
I would pose this to you too. What we're doing right now, what they call Monday morning quarterback, right? We wasn't there in real time. We're looking back on it saying, oh, you know, you could have made that pass. You could have ran to the right, to the left, right, all that. Right. In real time, it's different. I think that they were trying to do the best they could with what they had at that time. And we always thought, if we can just all get college degrees, we're going to be all right. And then we all did that. If we can just go on a job and just show them we're not buffoons, we're not ignorant, we're not this, we're not that, y'all going to finally let us be managers and supervisors and get better for our family. It's what they thought. If we can finally just be upstanding citizens in society, y'all are back off of us. That's what they thought. So they made certain plays to make that happen, and then you get to the other side of it, you realize, no matter what I do, like Jay-Z said, you know, infamously, still a nigga. You know what I'm saying? The Jay-Z OJ thing that he did, you still a nigga. No matter how much money you make, how many degrees you get, no matter how much upper mobility you have, and you got all these titles and names and all that, to those other people in society, you're still a nigga. You're a nigga in the Benz, like they say, right? No matter what you driving and what you have. And they couldn't have known that on the front side. They went through all that and found out on the back side that MLK said before he died, like, man, I think I just integrated my people into a burning house. That's what he said before everything went down. So he started realizing, I made the wrong play, right? If you're a coach on the team, you're a coach on the team, right? You're a coach on the team. We're gonna run this play. And they go and do it like, oh man, I was the wrong call. I should have did a running play instead of a pass play. You can't know before the play happened. MLK, they ran the play. Oh man, should have did a passing play. It's kind of like that it's kind of like a hindsight thing.
I got you. I just want to get you.
And life is lived like that. Life is lived forward, not backwards, right? We all evolve and grow and see our missteps after the fact. But they had to try, right? Because by that point, civil rights, they already tried Black Reconstruction. We already tried Du Bois method. We tried Garvey method. We tried Douglas method. We tried Booker T. Washington method. We've tried these plays here before, and now we're here in the civil rights point. They're trying the next play, man. Can't knock them for that.
A lot of those methods
Can't knock them for that.
were, like you said, Garvey. A lot of those methods were sabotaged. They actually kicked him out of the country when he first tried to do what he was trying to do.
Yeah.
So that's my point when you said that, okay, he think that he led his people into a burning house.
Yeah.
We're talking about MLK.
That's right.
That's why I was trying to say, like, do for self. Why are we trying to still fight for civil rights? It should be a human rights issue. Yep. And let's build up our own communities. Yeah. But,
that's a good one.
I was just trying to get your thoughts on that.
I speak on Black Wall Street a lot. I love that topic. They had 2 new books come out on Black Wall Street in the past couple months. I advise you to go out there and go and get them. But whenever my friends and I talk in private about, we got so many quote-unquote Black billionaires right now, right, supposedly. Why we haven't made another Black Wall Street? At that time, Black Wall Street, they had complete buy-in. What do I mean? Why did the movie theater in Black Wall Street thrive? Why did the drugstore thrive? Why did the dentist and the barber in Black Wall Street thrive? Why did the bus line and the cab line thrive? You had no other choice. But now we feel like in today's society, we got all these choices. You don't have 100% buy-in on any Black business, right? We can name a Black business that probably have every product you have in your house. You can find Black detergent, toothpaste, batteries. You can name a lot of products in your everyday house. You can find a Black company that's doing that, and the average person probably won't support those products. Because you're brainwashed to want Gain and Tide and Duracell and whatever, right? So that's that as far as today's society.
All right. With that being said, let me go ahead and ask you this, because it kind of ties in. You say that we're so brainwashed as a people to where we can't really just deal with and go buy Black products because we're so conditioned to go get these other products.
We love labels.
Right? So do you feel like Black people as a whole will ever get our rightful spots as the kings and queens on this earth? And what I mean by that is...
Oh, go ahead.
What I mean by that is come together, basically, and be one.
I got a better thing to say about the kings and queens thought you just said. I said this a few days ago. A lot of us are so focused on being kings and queens. What's going on, king? How you doing, my sister? What's up, queen? Talking like that, right? In any given empire or kingdom, we forget one thing. It's a lot of work every day to be done to make the empire thrive. Even in a Black Wakanda, who's taking the trash out? Who doing the plumbing? Who doing the grunt work? If we have all these, we want to have land ownership so bad, it's a big topic, land ownership. Who is tending to the land? It's 105 degrees out there right now, I think, give or take. Who is out there tending to the land? We can't all be well-dressed on the throne and we, sitting like T'Challa. Somebody got to be out there sweating, drenched, messing with the wheat or whatever we dealing with. Wheat, sugarcane, whatever the product is, we gotta be out there doing it. That's not talked about or embraced enough. But we all want to be kings and queens in the empire, right? Who gonna clean the toilet? Who making stuff? Who doing the butchering the things and cleaning things? You want to have a big old feast at the table? Who back there plucking them chickens and getting the hair off of it and the feathers and doing the dirt work, the grunt work, where it don't smell good? It's not an inviting thing. Who gonna do that?
Well, look,
for the empire, for the good of the culture. Who gonna do that?
Well, Ebony K. Williams said she won't date a man like that.
That's a whole different topic. Now we going viral, right? Now we going viral because we have glamorized all the wrong things so long. And back to the whole education tip. It's a good topic to bring it full circle again. Not many children or even looking at a lot of vocations with all the AI technology coming, a lot of things are going to be automated very, very soon. There are certain trades and things that's going to be here for a long time, but you got to use your hands. You got to use actual skills. A lot of things that was there for your mom and dad and for our generation to go and do, those things are being wiped out left and right. You go to any given Walmart now, you can barely find a cashier in that thing. I go to Walmart, I got a question for going and find something, I can barely find an employee to go and talk to give me they're gonna automate all of this. So if our kids in school are not being dangling in front of their face different trades, different vocations, you just focus on the pie in the sky stuff, it's gonna be a rough life in the next 10, 15 years for a lot of people.
So you mentioned AI earlier, and if you look online right now, you'll pretty much see every ad is talking about AI, everywhere you go. What are your thoughts on the whole AI situation? You think it's a good thing or a bad thing?
Okay, well, first and foremost, I would say I think it's a good thing personally, but like all technological advances throughout human history, whenever there's a large technology jump, we see a lot of people lose jobs, lose resources, a lot of things shift. With that being said, I think to go back to your education question about kids in school earlier, I think that these schools need to totally gut how they have current education. And they need to have a lot more things in there for the kids when it comes to AI technology, when it comes to how to build these apps, how to build this technology, who doing the database stuff on the backside, the mainframe stuff, all those kind of people. Those kids need to be more adept at that versus the old education that we had. Our phones are different. All the parts of our life is different. Our vehicles are different. Why is our children's education the same as it was whenever we was in school, our grandparents? That makes no sense. And our kids innately know that. These kids in class looking like, man, what's this about? For a reason. They are not tapped into the teacher in the lesson for a reason. Because those kids the whole time thinking like, what am I gonna do with this? When am I gonna use this Algebra 2? When am I gonna use even these English and writing classes? Because guess what? I can talk to my phone and the phone write for me. I can talk to my phone and the phone can edit and correct everything for me. The kids know that. Those kids 4 or 5 years old doing that. So do I need to know the proper King's English at all times? To be literal, probably not. Now I'm a writer, so I embrace it as a part of the craft, but literally, can I publish books without knowing that these days? Easily. So school has to change when it comes to their approach on the use of technology, how the kids learn technology, and showing those kids how to implement that in their future vocations and endeavors.
All right, Seanathan, man, we have discussed everything from your evolution, your new podcast, you being an author, a scholar. We even talked about Black issues. In closing, let the audience know where can they get more of Seanathan Polidore.
Yes, I am on Instagram more than any other platform. Seanathan the Griot Polidore on Instagram. I go live probably 4 or 5 days a week, discussing various topics, predominantly about literature, but also documentaries, TV shows, movies. I love covering that. Not giving any spoilers, just giving you an idea of my overall thought about it. And most of the time, I'm plugging it back to books all the time. Also, Seanathan40 on TikTok. I am on TikTok. I am on Threads. And on Facebook, it's Seanathan Polidore. I'm on Facebook for the past 15, 16 years on Facebook. You can scroll back, find a lot of my live videos, interviews, and great content, man.
Man, that's what's up, man. I really enjoyed our intellectual sparring.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
That was great, man. Great having you on the show.
I had a great time. I love what you're doing. Being from my city where I'm from, I see what you're doing. You're investing in yourself. You're advancing yourself, advancing the craft, and once again, highlighting our wonderful, rich community, man. I definitely appreciate you and thank you for having me.
Man, thanks, bro. I'm glad you appreciated it. One more thing, bro. You're coming back, right?
Oh man, bro, I can't wait. Like I said, the brand new book is coming out, The Modern Day Griot. I gotta come back and do a whole spiel on that, man. Break it down for the family.
That's right. It is what it is TV.
This is Seanathan Polidore, and you're watching It Is What It Is TV. Get the experience.